to the Daily Deep Cut, brought to you by the Beat Sessions. I am your host, Mitchell Weary. Sorry for this morning. Sorry to miss you guys. Had some stuff come up. Life happens. But glad to be here to deliver the Daily Deep Cut of the day. It's going to happen from time to time. I feel like there's just no avoiding it. I got a busy schedule until the Beat Sessions is my number one creative priority and financial priority. There's going to be little hiccups like this morning, so I appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in, whether it's live, whether it's later on. I just appreciate you being a part of this new show and the channel. This new show, by the way, the Daily Deep Cut, is going to air Monday through Friday. Starts at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Trying to figure out schedule-wise what I want to do with this show as well. I think I'm going to go 6 weeks on, 6 weeks off. Just the requirements of a daily show Monday through Friday. It's a lot of work. It's a big task at hand. Up for it, very excited about it, but also need to have pockets of time to commit to other elements of the channel, production improvements, all that good stuff. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. But for the meantime, there's going to be lots of daily deep cuts coming at you for the coming weeks. And the Daily Deep Cut is part of a weekly theme as well. This week, we are focusing on 90s alternative music and talked about Smashing Pumpkins already this week, talked about Tool. Now we are talking about Oasis and a gem of a song, Hey Now, smack dab, right in the middle of Oasis's second record, What's the Story, Morning Glory. An incredible record that had a monumental impact. I don't think the brothers Gallagher and the rest of this crew could have anticipated what this record brought to the table. Definitely maybe an epic record. And I love just the straightforward guitar rock element of it. I feel guitar rock at that time, coming out of the grunge phase, moving into this new era of what music would be into the 90s. There was this classic element to what the band was doing with their sound, with all the big guitars that were coming at you, and a heavy sounding record too. It's definitely what I love about Definitely Maybe. But it's they're also a band that in their own unique right was able to cultivate their own sound. And that's, I think that's just what's so incredible about what they did at that period of time, is really just getting to basics, keeping things fundamentally simple on that record. And it's interesting to know that this collection of songs for What's the Story, Morning Glory was actually written pretty much the same time as Definitely Maybe. Noel Gallagher talks about how second record was ready to go. This is an outfit that did not have any type of sophomore slump or hang up with that record. But it is a different record. It is a more tender record. There's, the big string elements that are into play here. Lots of piano that's at work on this record. It definitely has a more pop-oriented feel than Definitely Maybe. And it's interesting too, just to see the impact that this record had. It's a phenomenal record, and I think Oasis is an incredible band, but you think about everybody else that was competing at the time. You think about their well-publicized beef with Blur, but also bands like Radiohead and Suede were, doing their thing at the time. Suede had been around for a minute at that point, but Radiohead starting to come into their own, starting to identify, where they wanted to be, their identity, so to speak, coming into fruition there. And it still just amazes me the staying power that this album has too. I dare you to listen to any type of general pop radio, and a song like Wonderwall is still going to come on. A song like Don't Look Back in Anger is still going to come on. This is one of those records that pretty much every cut on it, I feel, had some type of stay on FM radio. Some type of single promotion. There was something there with pretty much every one of these songs. It's one of those albums that, if you listen to it from start to finish, it just feels like you have at some point heard every song through some other medium. It reminds me a lot of what Radiohead did with the Bends. That's another record that There's absolutely no filler. Every single song is brilliantly placed, brilliantly mixed into that lineup of tracks, and just a marvelous piece of art. Another groundbreaking cornerstone of what 90s alternative music was, and what it has meant to the music scene for the last almost 30 years now. It's crazy that it's been that long, but it's gonna be next year. We're celebrating the 30th anniversary of this song and this record. But Hey Now, big old groovy jam, and I love the feedback in the guitar, or not feedback, but there's like a fade in the guitars, just a hold on the notes as they kind of like fade out. I love that introduction, that just like messing around with their with the I'm drawing a blank on the term now for the mechanism that you use to bend the strings on your guitar, but messing around with that a little bit, and just giving this song this really unique, casual, almost kind of like nonchalant kind of flair. And it feels like the music sonically is this band and the front that they put up, the facade. But what I've always enjoyed about this song is that once you get into the lyrics, and much like the rest of this album, I'd argue, this is a record from a band that exploded into stardom coming off of Definitely Maybe. You have a record in Definitely Maybe, their first album. It's a bunch of guys writing about wanting to be rock stars, and now they are rock stars, and even more so because this thing just catapulted into these stratosphere as far as like where it put them on the map in popular music in general, just making them one of the biggest bands in the world at the time. And they still are one of the best selling bands of all time too. It's great to see the brothers Gallagher getting back together. If you guys have never seen Oasis live, I think it's unfortunate that original lineup isn't there, but at the heart and soul of this band is these two guys, basically. And so I would encourage any of you, if they come near you, if you're able to get tickets, if you can afford them, go check the band out. They're phenomenal live, and hopefully they play Hey Now. So you get that big guitar intro, and it settles into this guitar-driven groove. There's, unlike most of the songs, there's very little presence of I'd say piano, string elements, all the other stuff. Not until the very end. I really like the big strings that swell at the end of this song. But as far as the lyrics, they start off, and he writes, "I hitched a ride with my soul by the side of the road just as the sky turned black. I took a walk with my fame down memory lane, never to find my way back." An interesting introspection to lead this song off. And it's definitely a song coming from a guy, and it's interesting too, knowing that written around the time period of Definitely Maybe, it's almost kind of like Noel was seeing the future, kind of like seeing the angst and the disillusionment that he feels, and that I think a lot of people feel when they achieve that stardom, when they achieve that fame. It's one of those things where those guys, for a number of decades now, especially in the UK, where they're revered and still very much admired. Try going out to the record store. Try just living, the simple daily moments that all of us take advantage of, without being noticed, without being bothered, without being harassed. It's a tough byproduct of success, of that visibility, of that fame. And I really particularly love that line, "I took a walk with my fame down memory lane. I never did find my way back." And there's this essence too of understanding that regardless of whether it's fame or what it is, we all grow up, we all have to move forward, and those trips down memory lane are great. I can't imagine what life would be like without nights spent with friends, reflecting on times gone by over drinks, and just maybe a campfire, maybe whatever experience it is that you're having in that moment. But I think that all of us have some of our fondest memories spent with people that we love, thinking about those times. But there's also the necessity of learning to grow beyond that, of learning to move forward into life, and to take on the new phases that it presents to us. And oftentimes that it does require leaving parts of us, people, things behind. And so I think it's so concise, it's so laconic. Like I love the direct nature of that line and how applicable it is to so many different things, not just, this particular situation where the band is talking about their fame and where they're at. I got to say, time's slipping away, and what will it hold for me? What am I going to do while I'm looking at you? You're standing ignoring me. It's another great line. I got to say, time's slipping away, and what will it hold for me? There's that feel of uncertainty, that idea of again moving into this new phase and what it holds. And there's certainly excitement, but all of us, to a certain degree, when we take on new chapters of our life, new adventures, new responsibilities, those nerves that you feel, I would argue that those are a good thing. Those are a byproduct of knowing that you are putting yourself outside of your comfort zone, that you are stepping beyond where it is that you feel comfortable, where you feel grounded. But the path to self-discovery is not paved on that road. It is paved with those nerves, with those feelings. And I think that the good thing about the nerves too is that there's a sense of wanting to succeed, of wanting to put out whatever product or whatever result you're looking for. It shows that you care. It shows that it means something to you, that you're passionate. And so I think that's important. I think that nerves they can be tough to handle from time to time, but they are essential. They are a part of the equation, and they shouldn't be ignored. They should be embraced. I thought that I heard someone say, now there's no time for running away now. Hey now, hey now. And yeah, this is your moment, man. It's to not sound like Eminem too much, but this is your moment. Do not turn away. Hey now, feel no shame, because time's no chain, feel no shame. This is where the song continues on. It's another great line too. We all make mistakes. All that stuff is in the past though. Learn from it, grow from it, move on. And especially, in light of their situation, the criticism, because this is an album, What's the Story, Morning Glory, wasn't initially well received by critics. Commercially, it was massive, but critics, they didn't really laud it for its tenderness, that, the different symphonic elements, the piano-driven melodies that were incorporated into this album, more so than Definitely Maybe. And as time has gone on, obviously people have changed their opinions on that. Reflections and those retrospective reviews have certainly dug up other opinions. But time's no chain. Don't be shackled. Don't be crippled by the things that have happened in the past. There's no undoing them. There's no changing them. But what you can do is change the trajectory of your future and, keep yourself on the path that you're headed towards. And that's really what I feel is at the heart of this part of the song. The first thing I saw as I walked through the door was a sign on the wall that read, it said, "You might never know that I want you to know what is written inside of your head. And as time as it stands won't be held in my hand or living inside of my skin. And as it fell from the sky, I asked myself why. Can I never let anyone in?" Some of my favorite lyrics. I think that this song might be the most underrated song in the Oasis catalog, not just for the quality of the music. There's this really mellow, uplifting, powerful sonic experience that's going along with these reflections. And I think the music is just as important. I think the music provides that boost of positivity as far as navigating and reflecting on something that is complicated and difficult. And there's also that bit of knowing what the right answer is ultimately, and just choosing to commit to make the decision to take that route. Really just and that last part, as it fell from the sky, I asked myself why. Can I never let anyone in? Certainly feels like there's this with this newfound fame, with this success, there is a different level of vulnerability. And that's an important, like, it's a really unfortunate byproduct, I think, of the world that we live in. Social media, everybody's under a microscope. Cancel culture was such a massive thing a few years ago. I'm glad to see that sort of just being eliminated from our society, because people are going to make mistakes. Sometimes people make really bad mistakes and they don't necessarily deserve a shot at retribution, but we all do dumb things. We're all clumsy. We all fumble from time to time. And I think that when you're in a situation like these guys are, when you're under the microscope, there are definitely more people out there, their envy, their puerile jealousy that are trying to tear you down. And so it's hard not to be guarded. It's hard to allow yourself to be vulnerable, because it's just easier to get hurt. It's easier to be taken advantage of. And I think the most difficult thing is oftentimes when you are this focused on your art, you're this focused on a project of this magnitude, these pissants kind of remain in your peripheral, and that's where they take advantage of you. And they know that. And that's what's so frustrating about them. So it's what I've always thought of as far as that line. And it returns to the first part of the song, "Hitched a Ride with My Soul by the Side of the Road." Just as the sky turned black, it's going to reprise that part of the song. But a beautiful gem. It comes right in the middle of the record, like I said, between "Don't Look Back" and "Anger," and it comes, the untitled interlude comes after, but it's basically, some might say, is the track that follows. Two massive singles off this record, two beautiful tracks in and of themselves. But it's I would say, if you're not familiar with Hey Now, if this is a band that you have, I don't know if you have mixed feelings about them, if you've never been the biggest Oasis fan in the world, I think that not having had the opportunity to be inundated with this particular song in the radio waves throughout the decades, this is one that might change your opinion of the band. It might lead you down that path of checking out some of their other records, checking out some of their other deep cuts, because this is one of the best records of the 90s without question. There's no filler on this album. And it's unfortunate that song, and I feel like Opener Hello too falls into that category a little bit. And another really groovy, upbeat, rock and roll driven number, almost a song that it makes sense that this could have come out of the same period of writing that definitely maybe did. And so I love all 50 minutes of it. It's the beautiful age of the CD at this point, the dominant medium, and so people were making music in that regard. It's tough to fault people for that at this point. I think Paul Weller showing up and contributing on Champagne Supernova. He's a guitar player with the Jam, and played harmonica on the tracks where that's featured as well. I thought that was pretty cool. But Hey Now, a highlight to me in an album full of highlights, frankly. But that is your deep cut of the day. Go check that out. Tune in tomorrow, where we'll be talking about more 90s alternative music, a particular track that I think will make all of you very excited to talk about. I'm talking about Radiohead. That might be a little bit of a hint there. I will post that link here in a few hours, get that live episode set up for tomorrow morning. But in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day. Have an excellent week, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Daily Deep Cut.